Getty Brexit was almost inevitable. Helen Thompson, professor of political economy at Cambridge University, argues Britain refusing to join the single currency while being the continent's financial centre made eventually leaving the bloc appear certain. This week, her paper Inevitability and Contingency, The Political Economy of Brexit won the British Journal of Politics and International Relations Article of the Year. In it, she writes, in a number of ways, the 2008 financial crash and the Eurozone crisis put a time bomb under the sustainability of Britain's membership of the EU. They generated conflict over London's position as the offshore financial centre of the Euro, escalated the differences between the macroeconomic options open to Britain and Eurozone states, produced a significant rise in immigration from the Eurozone periphery into Britain, strengthened German influence within the EU, and weakened Britain's position in the SEM with regard to financial services and banking matters. These structural conflicts and constraints would have caused significant problems even to a non-Conservative-led government. But Professor Thompson said the Conservatives set the course to leave in 2010 by making unrealisable commitments on immigration and pledges to return some EU powers to Westminster. With David Cameron failing to secure the reforms he wanted, particularly on financial services in 2011, Britain's weakness within the bloc was made clear. She wrote, any attempt to address the practical policy problems they generated, whether the risk of discrimination within or the particular consequences of freedom of movement for Britain in relation to a monetary union of which it was not a member, could only risk demonstrating the fundamental political weakness of Britain's position inside the EU and erode domestic democratic consent to it. Getty Nigel Farage celebrates the result, Professor wrote, while Cameron's decision to offer a referendum in January 2013 was a gamble that others might not have made and he did eschew pushing Merkel into a decisive confrontation, his options at these crucial points of decision-making were narrow. Once his treaty-premised strategy had been bankrupted by the fiscal compact episode, whether he understood that to be the case or not, he had no strategy available to reform the EU to British advantage. Indeed, even the defensive moves he thought the government had secured on bailouts and the EBA had to be refought and were insecure so long as there was no treaty in which they could be entrenched, a problem in itself which was, in part, the product of his own domestic push for the 2011 referendum lock. In this sense, Cameron made the Leave campaign's case, that there was little control to be had inside the EU, for it. The result was a shock for Remainers. Boris Johnson campaigned for Leave. Those campaigning to Leave still had to seize their opportunity, a task that was undoubtedly made easier by the contingencies of Boris Johnson's decision to join and Dominic Cummings' strategic thinking. And, even if Remain had narrowly won the vote, the issue would still not have been settled and would probably have been revised, she said. The professor concluded, only if Cameron could have released himself from the desire to win the 2015 election, an act of self-restraint almost always beyond politicians, could he have escaped from the diminution of decision-making options at work and, consequently, bought British membership of the EU significantly more time.
Thanks you for watching. Please subscribe News to You channel. Goodbye and see you again.